Hey YouTube, Maxie 2021 here, coming at you with a bit of a special video. I'm going to be talking about Gunbuster, my all-time favorite thing, for the majority of this video. I did want to do something for the 30th anniversary back in October last year, but I didn't get a chance to record anything for that, so I figured I would wait until the next anniversary, and by that I mean anniversary for the first time I watched Gunbuster, which was March 17th, 2013, so today's the 6th anniversary of that. Now, while I do consider Komi-san and One Piece to be pretty close seconds for all-time favorite thing or whatever, there's nothing that I like more than Gunbuster. So, yeah, I'll just mainly talk about this for most of the video. I might touch on Die Buster at some point, since it is a sequel, but I'm not going to be saying much about the compilation movies, because, well, I personally think that it's not worth watching them first, since it leaves out info that it assumes you already know about from already watching the OVAs. So, yeah, not really gonna say much about them, I guess. But, might as well start talking about the story, and then I'll get into how I came about discovering Gunbuster and why it's my all-time favorite thing, or like the impact it had on me, stuff like that. So, it's about this girl named Noriko Takaya who is, whose father was a captain of a spaceship, and it got attacked by space monsters. And then he helps save a guy that was on board the ship named Koichiro Ota, who, after getting back to Earth, he goes to the school that Noriko's at in order to help train the students there to become space pilots, so they can take on the space monsters. Though, when I say space pilot, I mean more like piloting a mech than a spaceship. Though I guess it could apply to both. But specifically in the case of the school, all the students there pilot mechs, more or less. And the third main character is Kazumi Amano, who Noriko looks up to like an older sister figure, since she, for the most part, refers to her as One-sama. And the thing about Kazumi is that she's more or less a flawless character. Like, not that she doesn't have flaws or whatever, but she comes off as flawless, and she's pretty much good at anything she does, and she's really elegant and whatnot. And on the other hand, Noriko is very clumsy and a bit of a ditz, and she's not that, she doesn't have much self-confidence, so, well, at first. So pretty much it's pretty much a coming-of-age story, where, like, you can see, you get to see Noriko grow as a character, going from, like, real clumsy and stuff like that I already mentioned, to being a badass and hot-blooded character. And Ugh. Yeah, good shit. Uh, oh, right. I forgot to mention some background stuff on Gunbuster. It's the first episode aired October 7th, 1988. It was the directorial debut of Hideaki Anno. Most people know him for his work as the director of Evangelion, and he was also one of the founding members of Gainax. And let's see what else. The full name of Gunbuster is Tapo Nerai Gunbuster, or Aim for the Top Gunbuster. The name itself, not the Gunbuster part of the name, but the Aim for the Top part, that comes from both Top Gun, the Tom Cruise movie, and the tennis anime slash manga Ace wo Nirai, or Aim for the Ace. And it is also 6 episodes long. And at the end of every episode, there's these 2-minute segments called science lessons where Noriko, Kasumi, and Coach pretty much explain how like all science stuff works in the series. And some of it, I'm sure, is fictional, but I'm guessing there's also stuff that isn't fictional. And oh right, there's one thing I gotta mention. One of the big plot devices for Gunbuster specifically is time dilation. And it's partly why so much stuff can happen in the span of 6 episodes. But it also makes the ending all the more bittersweet, I suppose. I don't really want to talk about anything spoiler-ific. And I don't really want to discuss any spoilers per se, in the hopes that somebody watching this will go out of their way to check out Gunbuster. Well, while I'm at it, I might as well talk about Diebuster 2, or Diebuster as well. It's about this girl on Mars named Nono, who wants to be a space pilot like her idol Nono Riri, and she one day she encounters this actual space pilot named Lauk Melkamal, who they both get involved with each other, and Nono ends up joining the organization that Lauk works for. And I'll just say that there's more to Nono than meets the eye. As for behind the scenes stuff, Diebuster was directed by Kazuya Tsurumaki, who was Anno's protege, and I'll probably touch more on this whenever I do a video on Karakano, since I gotta finish that and I want to talk about it at some point. But when Gainax was doing the anime adaptation of Karakano, Anno left in the middle of it because him and the mangaka for that were not seeing eye to eye, and Kazuya Tsurumaki was left in charge of finishing up directing the episodes, and then he would later go on to direct Fooly Cooly as his actual directorial debut. Let's see, Diebuster is also 6 episodes long. It's also a coming-of-age story. Let's see, what else? One major theme between the two that like helps further cement the connection they have. Like not just with like stuff that gets revealed in Die Buster later on, but the way the endings are connected. One major theme of Gunbuster is aiming for the top and like trying to reach your utmost potential. And with Die Buster, on the other hand, it asks the question of what happens when you reach the top. Like, where do you go from that? And that's a big part of Lauk's character arc. And, like, honestly, I would say she's more the main character than No-No, even though they're both the central focus of the anime or the story or whatever. But, oh, right, Gunbuster was a big part of getting people to recognize Gainax, as far as I'm aware, or like it's what really got them on the map after Royal Space Force Wings of Hanamis. And Die Buster was Gainax's 20th anniversary project back in 2004, since they were officially founded in 1984. So you could technically consider Die Buster a modern reinterpretation, retelling of Gunbuster, despite the fact it's a sequel. Or, well, I say modern, but like at the time that it came out or whatever. Another thing I like about Die Buster is that some themes and certain things that show up later in the later episodes would later on pop up again in Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. And yeah, it's pretty neat. Let's see, what else? I guess I can talk about like where to actually watch them. Now, for Gunbuster, there was a VHS release at some point in time. I got all 3 tapes. There was a DVD release, not this one, because I didn't realize this was a bootleg until after I received it, because I bought it on eBay. The actual release has 3 discs. This one's just 1. Got a Laserdisc release. I got the box set for that, but that never got an English release. There's the compilation movies. There's this box set. This specific box set came with a figure of Noriko and Nono. As like a first print run bonus. The Blu-ray release of the Gunbuster movie also got an English release like a few years ago, year or 2 ago. But the DVD release for Gunbuster, the one with 3 discs, 3 DVDs, that one's out of print. So you either got to go through like a third-party seller or pay a good chunk of money, like at least $50+ from what I've seen, in order to get it, or you can just watch it online like I did at first. As for Die Buster, there were 3 separate DVDs with 2 episodes each, and then there's this set, this release, which has 2 discs, 3 episodes each. It's also available on Crunchyroll. There's the compilation movie. Not sure if the Blu-ray release for the compilation movie has an English release yet. Both Gunbuster and Die Buster have what is it? Let me think. They both have Blu-ray box sets, which haven't gotten English releases, but Diebuster's also on Crunchyroll, so it's the more accessible of the two. But I would also recommend watching Diebuster second. I mean, you can just watch it. You can watch it first if you want, but a lot of things that are in Diebuster, especially relating to Gunbuster, have more of an impact and more meaning if you watched Gunbuster first. Let's see, what else? I don't remember if I already said it, but I'm going to say it again. They're both 6 episodes, about 3 hours long. One's 2 hours, 54 minutes, the other's 2 hours, 56 minutes, but I always just round up to 3 hours because it's easier to digest. Let's see, what else can I say? Alright, Diebuster doesn't have any science lessons, but it did get some science lessons for the Blu-ray box set release. Excuse me. And Gunbuster got some more science lessons for its Blu-ray release. They got Kohei Tanaka to do the soundtracks for both animes. And for Diebuster, he remixed some of the tracks he did in Gunbuster. But there's also new tracks too. And yeah, that's my favorite composer. So I guess these helped me become more of a fan of his. Let's see, what else? As far as the viewing order for Gunbuster goes, I personally recommend watching the first 5 episodes with each science lesson after the episodes, and then watching the 6th and final science lesson before the 6th and final episode, because mood whiplash. Since science lessons are all upbeat and colorful and like happy, cheery music, and I feel that conflicts with the mood of the ending for Gunbuster. I mean, like, you can watch it after the episode, but I think the ending has a bigger appeal to it if you don't watch the last science lesson after the episode. But yeah, not really sure what else to say. Alright, for episode 6, they made it, or Anno wanted to increase the dramatic effect of the episode by making it completely monochrome until like the last few minutes. And the thing is, they did it on color film, so it cost the studio more money to do it that way instead of doing the black and white coloring on black and white film, I guess. But yeah, that's all I can really say about it. Might as well go into how I got into Gunbuster and why it's my all-time favorite thing. I'm gonna go with the long version of the story, though it's not super long, I guess. Prior to 2012, before I got into the mega genre, my only real exposure with mecha anime was through like anything that aired on Cartoon Network or Toonami. Like I saw a bunch of episodes of Mega Sex Alarm. I watched, I think, every episode of Symbionic Titan. I saw a bunch of episodes of G Gundam, which is my favorite Gundam anime. I was there when Gundam Wing first aired in English, though I didn't get to watch all of it, or well, at least not yet. I think I saw part of an episode of Gundam Seed or Gundam Seed Destiny. I'm not sure which one. I saw parts of like a few episodes of both seasons of Code Geass, and I think that's it. At least going by what I can remember. But anyways, there were 3 anime that got me into the mecha genre. First, there was Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. When did I watch it? I saw some episodes back in high school in the sci-fi club I was in. And this one guy I knew showed me the last 2 episodes one time in this fencing class that we took. And I thought it looked cool, but I didn't have any context for what was going on, so I was just like, oh, okay. So, anyways, it wasn't until 2011 I got my first smartphone and I started using Netflix. They had Gurren Lagann on there, and I watched it, and I was like, yeah, this is really fucking cool. And at that point, that's when I realized, watching this made me realize that if I watched more mecha anime, I could see a lot of cool shit happen. Like, I don't know if it would be like on the same scale as this, since Gurren Lagann runs on the rule of cool trope. But, yeah, this was what really got me into mecha genre, or started getting me into it. So, after that, I watched this one anime called Gunsword. I don't have my DVD set for it because I lent it to my best friend's brother a while back, and I keep forgetting to ask him if he had a chance to finish it. But when I watched that in 2012, it made me realize that mecha anime can actually have stories, or like it can be more than just stuff happening between fights, or like an actual narrative. And like I never really considered much about story for them, for like mecha anime or whatever, since I didn't really get to watch too much, I guess. But I was really invested in it. And then later that year, I sat down and watched King of Braves Gal Gaigar and its sequel OVA, Gal Gaigar Final. And that's the one that did it, that got me hooked on mecha anime. What initially happened was, back in 2006, I was in a Best Buy, and I saw this free anime magazine. On the back was an ad for one of the DVD releases for Gal Gaigar, back when that was first coming out in English. And I didn't know what it was, I just thought it looked interesting, or neat, or whatever. Then, skip ahead to 2012, I had a DVD box set for, I think it was called Kashimashi. But, yeah, they had a trailer for Gal Gaigar on there, because it was the same publisher, or the same people that put out Gal Gaigar's DVDs in English. And I heard the opening song, and I was like, yeah, this sounds cool. So, sometime after that, I saw one of the fights that happens in the sequel OVA during the last episode, and I had no context for what was going on, but I could feel like the raw emotion in the voice acting, and yeah, it just looked really cool, and I wanted to know how the characters got to that point. So I decided to uh, download all the episodes. I started watching it, and I wasn't initially hooked. But then I got to episode 19 when Goldie Marg shows up and turns into a hammer, giant hammer, and then Guy uses it to beat the Zonder for that episode. And at first I was like, "Oh hey, it's a big hammer," and then he beat the thing they were fighting by hitting it with the hammer, and the hammer was able to turn stuff into particles of light. And I thought that was the coolest shit I had seen up to that point, besides Gurren Lagann. And after that, I was hooked, and I wanted to see what happened next, so I could get to that one part from like the last episode of the sequel OVA. And after a few days, I finished all 49 episodes. Yeah, I think it was 49 episodes. But anyways, I watched the sequel OVA. I got to that fight between Janessa Gal Gaigar and Palparepa Plus. For those of you that have seen Gal Gaigar Final, and since I had the context for what was being said in the fight, it made it even more epic for me personally. And then I thought that the ending was very bittersweet and had some feels to it. But yeah, after that I was pretty much hooked, and I branched out and started watching more mecha anime. So give me 1 second. So yeah, that's pretty much what got me into the mecha genre. Now to the part where I ended up watching Gunbuster. So March 16th, 2013, they were showing the first Ava Rebuild movie. I don't have any of them, so I'm just using the Platinum box set as a reference, visual reference. But yeah, they were showing the first Ava Rebuild movie on Toonami. Up to this point, the only stuff I knew about Ava was like different memes, like the one about Shinji getting in the robot, and like that thing where Spike Spencer has like a breakdown during the credits for episode 26. But yeah, I watched the movie. I thought it was interesting. I wasn't exactly paying too much attention, but I figured that if I had seen Ava beforehand, I would have liked it more, maybe, or gotten more appreciation out of it, or something. Anyways, the next day, March 17th, 2013, I don't remember what compelled me to do it, but I went and downloaded all the episodes for Gunbuster, and then I watched it. And the thing about Gunbuster specifically, and this is why it's my all-time favorite thing, the thing about Gunbuster is that it... Before I watched Gunbuster, I never really thought much about anything that I had finished. Like, I would be all something like, "Oh yeah, that was cool," or "I didn't really like that," or "This was meh," stuff like that, and then I just go about my day. I mean, if I like something a lot, I would probably consider reading or watching or playing it again, and so on. But with Gunbuster, after I finished it, that was the first time that something ever made me think, what was it about this thing I finished that I liked? And the fact that it was the first thing to ever make me actually think about what I finished is why it's my all-time favorite thing. So, yeah, after that, I just started to actually think about stuff, or like ask myself why I like something or why I disliked something I finished, and so on. And then after that, I went and downloaded Gunbuster, and like a day or two later, I went and watched that, and that made me love Gunbuster even more. And now I'm just waiting on the third entry, since the current president of Gynax let slip in an interview that they're currently working on doing a third Gunbuster. And I do have my concerns, since Gynax isn't what they used to be. But, I mean, Gunbuster and Diebuster solidified them as my favorite anime studio. So I'm always going to be somewhat biased towards Gynax, regardless of the state that they're in after the golden years, as some people put it, or the golden era. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Last thing I want to do is just show off or not really show off, show my Gunbuster collection, because I've only shown some of the stuff sometimes in some videos or whatever. So, yeah, after that, I'll be done with the video. Give me a second.